They dot the landscape of downtown Victoria. From the late 1800s to the early 1900s, heritage buildings with beautiful brick and classic curves still stand more than a century after they were built. They've become the signature of our city and a draw to international visitors. But in a city half a world away where the buildings are eerily similar to Victoria's, the downtown has been devastated. February 22, 2011, a magnitude 6.3 earthquake hit Christchurch, New Zealand, killing 185 people. A staggering 70% of the buildings in downtown Christchurch have since been demolished, and UBC structural engineering professor Ken Elwood was there.
The similarities are really quite amazing. They're both the garden cities. They're both established in the mid-18th century, 19th century, and the history of colonialization in both countries means that the types of construction are really quite similar.
Elwood says Victoria must learn from the earthquake that devastated Christchurch, because it's not a matter of if a quake will happen here, but when.
In a major earthquake, we can expect to see significant damage to the downtown core in Victoria. We would expect to see older buildings that were designed before modern building codes to be heavily damaged.
It's why he spoke to the Urban Development Institute in Victoria recently to hammer home the message to developers, builders and engineers that what happened in Christchurch could easily happen here.
Earthquakes don't read the code. We have to be smarter.
There's no question many of Victoria's old heritage buildings would collapse in an earthquake. Picture bricks falling all over the downtown core. But there's also a lot of new projects and developments underway in the city, and those builders have very specific codes to follow to ensure their buildings can withstand an earthquake. Developer David Chard, whose project The Sovereign will be complete by next summer, says the BC Building Code for projects in Victoria is very stringent.
It's definitely very important how all of the materials are fastened onto the building, and there's a tremendous amount of work and detailing that's done to make sure that in the case of an event, we're not going to have elements falling from the building.
Chard says it's also key to build on solid rock, meaning time has to be invested in digging out the blue clay sites in Victoria are known for.
When they're starting to come back out of the hole, there's almost 25 to 30% of the concrete of the entire building is down as the footing. It forms part of the major elevator base and all of the perimeter. So it's a tremendous amount of concrete that basically acts as a big anchor.
And Dr. Elwood says a strong center core like this one that will surround the elevator and stairs at the Sovereign is designed to resist all the forces generated during an earthquake.
And the rest of the building is intended to go along for the ride.
And he urged local developers to design buildings that can be repaired after major damage, because he says in Christchurch, parts of the downtown core are still closed.
And focus on being able to get communities back up and running faster after an earthquake.
He also encouraged developers to think beyond the BC Building Code and do more than what is required.
You know, it's an excellent idea. We can't just be passive and say that you know, what we've got is enough. We've got to keep trying to improve our buildings.
Trying to find the worst buildings.
And after a first-hand account of his experience, Elwood is hoping everyone in this room is more aware of what could happen, a message he's also hoping will get out across the entire island. In Victoria, I'm Nikki Ewanyshyn.